Morning. Today is Wednesday. That's the day where we are going to have an answer from my urologist whether it has spread or to what extent it has spread, if it has. Now, I make this recording on my way to Kongen. I've just stopped in a small coffee shop and get myself a ice latte. Very, very unlike me, because I do like hot latte, but the barista just went out of the coffee shop as I came, apparently. And nobody here can make it hot, they can only make a cold one. Anyway, I thought I wanted to make this small recording first, because obviously I'm heading into a very, very interesting meeting. It's going to be a very defining meeting, because has it spread, and it's in one scenario, has it spread to be a stage 4 or stage 3, that is a very different scenario, and hasn't it spread, then that's obviously a very wistful one. But where am I as it is right now? Well, I'd say that my expectations are that it has spread to a stage 3, which means it has spread outside of the prostate, and it has spread to the nearby bones and lymph nodes, but it has not spread to the rest of the body. So we're talking stage 3. That's my expectations. I obviously wish that it has only reached the stage 2, and I fear that it could be a stage 4. But when I do say fear, then it's merely the matter of, well, obviously it's not that easy to treat, but I'm on a good path when it comes to the PSA level, as far as I'm concerned. So I don't fear it as fearing it. I'm just saying that's just not what I want. So I'm very curious to see what it is, obviously. But how would I move forward? Obviously, I can't say that for sure, because I don't know what the result is. But I can say that my plan is to continue what I'm doing until the end of January, no matter what. I mean, he has to tell me that I've only got 2 weeks left to live if I do not do something about it in terms of the medical therapies. But that's very unlikely he's going to tell me that, because I'm feeling almost without symptoms at all. So I will continue what I'm doing now, and I'll continue that until the end of January. I've got 2 big runs in January. I want to do that without being on hormone therapy, if that's going to be the solution anyway. And then, depending on my PSA at that time, have I managed to bring it further down from my 78.71, or has it risen again, or has it just been a stagnation? I have to evaluate by that time. But my plan is, because I've done the fenbendazole now for a month, my plan is to go off the fenbendazole, and now, because I've received my artemisinin annua, then I want to try and see how that works in comparison. I've got the time for it, so I'll see if I still have a good drop on my PSA at the end of January, despite not being on fenbendazole. I might actually take February along and do fenbendazole and along with artemisinin annua, and see how that works. The joker is obviously that I have to talk to my doctor today what he says, and I won't be presenting him my numbers right away. I've been thinking a bit about it, but I know for a fact that doctors, they are trained within their profession to the extent that for them to look outside the box on things like this is very difficult. And I understand why it's difficult, because when they go for chemotherapy, for instance, they know exactly the mechanisms behind the chemotherapy. They know how it attacks the cells, and they know the result of that. They know the typical time frame of that. They know some of the variables to it. And so when they see a dropping PSI, they are confident that that's based on the work that the chemotherapy does. But if I'm coming to them and say, well, I'm using curcumin, I'm using pumpkin seeds and CBD oil and artemisinin annua, well, then I'm using a lot of things that many of which he probably never heard of, and even if he had, he would not have the scientific background to support any conclusion on it. So it's really pretty much irrelevant for him how much I have done, unless he's a guy who really can think outside the box and dare do it. But obviously we also got the issue of licenses. Doctors don't want to play around with the license. They've studied for many years to get it, so it's safer for them to be wrong within the framework of what is accepted and what is a standard of care, rather than being wrong if it is outside that box. It's a risk to take, and that's my risk to take, and that's a risk I'm willing to take as long as I'm progressing in the right direction. So as I'm sitting here in my coffee shop, and enjoying my morning coffee with a few hours before the meeting, my plan is to continue what I'm doing because I think it's very good. And well, then let's just see what the doctor says. Depending on what he says, obviously there can be changes for that, but I highly doubt it. But it's going to be interesting. Protocol, I'll get into that a little bit later. But I think that's it for now. Until next time, stay healthy.